So anyway, to confirm Mary's story, 1 year late at night, I performed for 17 years at the Philadelphia Folk Festival, and we were in the bar, Stretch Pyatt and I, and Johnny Morris was there. And I ran that story and that song by him, because he's from Glasgow. And he said, oh yes, he said, it's true. He says, the children are not allowed to go home from the hospital until they learn the Glasgow town song. So I thought, well, I've got it from two sources now. Well, Johnny is a riot. He's got so many funny stories. I know he kept Stretch and I going for a couple hours in tears. But he had a story about Atlantic City, and I said, oh, my ears just perked up. I was born and raised in Atlantic City. He says, I was in New York doing some programs, and my good friend Steve Martin called, the movie actor and the banjo player, and the arrow through his head. He says, Johnny, he says, I'm doing a show at a casino in Atlantic City. I want you to rent a car and come down. I'll pay for everything. You'll go backstage after the show. We'll have a wonderful time. You'll meet everybody. And so Johnny rented a car. He traveled down the Garden State Parkway. He pulls into the valet parking, and a young fellow opens the door and he says, I'll take your keys. He says, what the hell you will? And the young fellow had to explain what valet parking was. He took the keys and away the car went. So he goes inside. Steve Martin had reserved a front row table for Johnny. He's sitting there. He's ready the show's ready to start. He's happy as can be. And the waitress comes over. She says, sir, I'll take your drink order now. And he says, I cannot drink. I got to drive back to New York tonight. She says, well, I'm sorry, sir. There's a 2-drink minimum. Well, he says, can it be coffee? She says, yes, indeed. Okay, I'll have 2 cups of coffee. So she goes off, she comes back a few minutes later, she's got the 2 cups of coffee at the same time. So the curtain opens, the show begins, and there's Johnny leaning back. He's alternately sipping from each of the 2 cups of coffee, having a wonderful time. After the show, he went backstage. Steve Martin took them all around. They had a big party. He's looking at his watch. He says, oh my God, Steve, he says, I'll call you later. He says, I got to get back to New York. I got an early program tomorrow. So he goes back to pick up his car at valet parking, and the guy says, I'm sorry, sir, there will be a 45-minute wait. He says, well, I can't wait. I got to get back to New York. He says, well, sir, a couple shows just broke, and there's people ahead of you. But while you're waiting, you can have 2 drinks. He said, can I have 2 cups of coffee? So the waitress brings 2 cups of coffee, and he says, I wonder if I could take these out on the boardwalk. It's a beautiful night tonight. The guy says, yes, of course, sir. He says, we'll call you when your car is ready. Oh, thank you very much. The Johnny goes out, he puts his foot up on the rail. It's a beautiful evening. A full moon is glistening off the waves rolling in. Not like yesterday, they're rolling in very gently. And he's just having a wonderful feeling. There's a gentle ocean breeze, and he's sipping alternately from the 2 cups of coffee. Well, suddenly he sees a dark shadow to his right, and he turns and looks, and there's a drunk staggering along the boardwalk. So Johnny figures if he just looks straight ahead, minds his own business, the bum will pass by, and everything will be fine. Well, as bad luck would have it, the guy staggers right up to Johnny. He says, excuse me, sir. I wonder if you can spare some change for a cup of coffee. He says, well, I cannot spare some change. I got to save them from the tolls on the parkway on the back to New York. But I'll share my coffee with you. The guy takes a cup of coffee and he throws it over the railing on the beach. He says, I said, sir, can you spare me some change for a cup of coffee? He says, I cannot spare any change. I need the change for the tolls on the parkway on the way back to New York. The bum reaches out, he grabs Johnny by the collar and he shakes him a few times. He says, I dare you to say that to me one more time. Johnny says, I cannot give you no change. I got to save it for the tolls on the parkway on the way back to New York. And the guy shakes Johnny furiously a few times and he stops. He looks him square in the eye and he says, I belong to Glasgow, dear old Glasgow town. What's the matter with Glasgow, for it's going round and round. I'm only a common young working chap, as anyone here can see. But when I get a couple of pints on a Saturday, Glasgow belongs to me.